Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So recently I upgraded my golf cart to lithium iron phosphate batteries. In the process of that, I had a video where I installed a new power meter, the shunt type that sits in line with your ground wire. I put that in, I've been using it for a little bit, and I don't think I really like it just because the interface and the cost I paid for it. So I started researching other options, and I discovered for about the same price I could get one with Bluetooth connectivity, and I can have an app to see all the diagnostics and analytics of the batteries and the charge and how often I run it. So in today's video, we'll go ahead and swap the old one out, put the new one in, and check out the app and see how well it works. So I decided to try this Von meter right here out for a try just because of the price for it. And it also comes with Bluetooth and an app, which makes viewing my battery status much easier, and probably also programming and setting all the settings up is probably much easier than this. It does come with a very similar shunt right here. It's much bigger than the one I'm taking out, and it comes with these plates that you kind of just put on the side, or you wedge it between the bolts, and then you use this to bolt it on there. It comes with the 4 screws and then some spacers to space this back when you're bolting it onto a backboard or something. See, with this thing being basically solid metal and grounded, I guess you could just ground it to a piece of metal if you have to, but you know, putting it on a wood backboard was probably the best way to do it, just like the way I have my installation now. As far as hookup goes, this thing comes with this extra jumper right here, which is kind of an external relay right here, an output from this unit. We won't be using that for our project. With other people that have multiple complicated stuff and solar stuff where they use the same monitor, they might use that to output another relay. For our purposes, all we're going to need is this jumper, which goes between the shunt unit and the controller, and then it comes with this little plug right here, which is for the positive power that goes into here. We don't need a ground for this setup because it's actually going to get its ground over here, which is going to come from the shunt, which is grounded to the battery. Inside the instruction manuals, they'll show you right here on one of the pages a typical golf cart setup right here. As you can see, it's pretty easy to follow. Your load and your charger is on that side, which is already on the cart itself, and then on the battery side, it's pretty obvious that side goes to the battery terminal, and then you can see the plug-in for the temperature and the plug-in for the shunt unit and the display. So here's an old meter right here that I installed. It's been working fine. The readings and everything look pretty accurate, but I just discovered that for about the same price that I paid for this one, I can get this other one with Bluetooth, and I could go ahead and just return this one. As far as install goes, it pretty much uses everything I've already connected over here. The only difference is the new shunt is a little bit wider, so I'm gonna have to fit it in here, and also comes with a control box, which I'm gonna have to mount down below it just to make sure it's close enough to plug up. So I'll go ahead and remove all this thing along with the wire that goes all the way back to the front to the display, and then rerun it and reconnect the new one right here in the same spot, and put the new controller also here in the same spot. So I was able to mount it right there, connect the load side of the thing. I had to turn it vertically because I didn't have any room horizontally over here, but pretty much got everything in, got the control box right next to it. So now I'm just gonna make the connections here, make the rest of these connections to the batteries, and then we're gonna test it out to make sure it works before we pull the display up to the front. Got everything connected. We have a status light right there that says run, so the thing's operating, and then the display is pretty much working right now. Everything's showing up perfectly fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this wire all the way to the front, pull the old wire back through, and then replace the display up here. So the hole for the display for the new one is like 2 millimeters more on the top and the bottom, and then a little bit on the sides. I'm gonna have to go ahead and cut that and file it just to open it up and get in there. Alright, went ahead and pulled all the wiring up here, did my wire management right along there, plugged it into the control unit, and loomed everything up together and up to the front here through that hole right on the driver's side on this one. So I'm gonna go ahead, open this thing up a little bit more to fit the new thing right here, and then plug it up and get the 2 set screws right here. One of the things I noticed is it didn't come with its own set screw, so you're gonna have to provide your own. All right, we got this baby in. As you can see right there, it fit a little bit tighter than the original one, and it's got actually a little gap because it sits on the outside instead of in the recessed area, but that's okay. At both sides we have a set screw, so it keeps it in there, but pretty much set right there. Once we first start this thing up, there's a few settings that you got to do before you get this thing working and started. First thing you want to do is set the battery amp hours. So I went ahead and set this thing to 100 amp hours via the app, and what I did was I put 100 amp hours and then I put 82.5%, which was the previous meter's reading once I charged that thing full, and it was running for a couple days. Another thing you probably want to check is the current. I think is the clear current data. It might be number 2 on the list, so you want to go ahead and take care of that one, and you want to zero this one out as the current. And then another thing you want to do is I noticed this thing doesn't go into sleep mode, so you actually have to go set that on the standby. So right now it's not set to anything, so I want to set it to basically about maybe 10 seconds after it doesn't read any current. It's gonna go into standby mode and turn off the screen. That delay setting for this thing to automatically come on and off, you actually had to put number 14 to auto, so that's the correct setting. If you leave it on auto, it'll automatically turn back on when you step on that. A lot of the stuff's in the middle doesn't really apply to us. Most of these, the ones that end with a P, those are basically protections, and you actually need a separate relay to run on here according to the wiring diagram. What that relay does, it's got to be a high powered, high amperage relay. It basically just cuts the power to that relay, which ends up cutting the battery and the power, so you can have safeties and all that. One other thing, you'll see that off button on the top and the key lock stuff. As far as the key lock, that thing is a setting so you can actually lock these buttons right here so you can't press anything. And the off thing and on thing is actually the recording for the app. So when you have that on, the app actually tracks your usage and consumption, keeps on reading that and graphing that out. So for golf carts, you probably don't need that unless you're doing a test to see what your motor is doing and your speed is, but for normal operation, you probably don't need to worry about that. Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this quick video on installing that second display for my new lithium batteries for my golf cart. As you can see, that new interface is much better. It's got more vibrant colors, it's got more information than that old one, plus it has the Bluetooth and all that other stuff, which I probably won't use all the time as far as the app goes unless I'm troubleshooting something, but at least I know I have it, and it's about the same price I paid for that other one. I'm gonna just go ahead and return that other one. So if you saw that video and you like that one, go ahead and install that one if it's more simple and basic for you, but for me, I wanted more advanced technology, more features, and more little things. In addition to it being connected to Bluetooth and having the app, it's got a lot of safeties and protections if you need that for your system. As I was reading through all those different protection features, most of it was more geared towards solar PV and battery storage for the people that are creating that and doing kind of off-grid stuff. For our golf cart, we don't need most of that, and we're not going to connect most of that, especially the relay. Anyways, if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to your channel, go ahead and subscribe to your channel to stay on top of all my different DIY videos. Remember, for all these different projects, if I can do it, you can do it. I want to thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.